gentlemen, it is time for Wedding Chat with the one and only Jeremy Brech and the internationally known Dave Ternier.
Internationally known, just because Jeremy knows me and he happens to be in a different country than I am.
Well, I was going to say internationally known Jeremy Brech, but I didn't want to, no one knows who he is outside of, the circle.
Nobody knows me outside of Sioux Falls.
That's about it.
We're going to change that here tonight.
Yes. Well, thanks for that beautiful introduction, as always, John. It's always a blessing to have you introduce us. And, a huge shout out to you. I don't know if you're still on, John.
I am, yes.
Shout out to you for, putting so much education together in, if you want to call it these new times, when we have so much time to get educated, now's the time to do it, and appreciate everything that you're doing for the DJ network, which is just awesome. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Amen to that.
But enough about John. How are you, Dave?
Oh my God. Oh boy. Okay, I'll tell you about that after. I'm well.
Good. Great.
I'm, struggling to keep up with everything going on. I don't understand the phrase "I'm bored" right now, so that's a struggle.
Yeah, and that's kind of the funny thing. That's the funny thing out of this whole thing is, I feel like I'm busier now and making a lot less money.
Oh, like 110%.
But you know what? Here's the thing, and I think we talked about this in our last time. The things that we're doing now are things that we should have been thinking about months ago. It's the stuff that is our businesses are changing and we're evolving, and we have to. If you don't evolve, you're gonna filter out. So it's really exciting to see all the businesses that are kind of stepping up and they're taking control of this situation. And it's a whole different type of situation, nothing that we ever could have expected. We knew that something was going to shake up our industry. We didn't know exactly what it looked like, how long it was going to take, and boom, it's here. So round of applause to everybody who is stepping up to the plate and pulling the bull by the horns, because it's huge. And it's exciting to see what everybody's doing in these times, if you want to call it that. So,
it is.
That's actually what our show's about tonight.
Pardon me?
That's not actually what our show's about tonight.
No, that's a fine segue, though. I
actually don't even know what our show is about tonight. What is our show about tonight? What everybody's doing in these times, if you want to. Is that what I sound like?
I sound
ridiculous. What the heck? How come no one told me that?
This is the Dave can see, yada yada yada. Okay, perfect. I started it. Okay, good. So what's our topic tonight? Communicating effectively with digital tools. I'll tell you how this came about, Jared. I suggested this topic idea to Jeremy and John. And by the way, FYI, everybody watching out there in Cyberland.
Dave, I don't think anybody's watching.
Well, look, let me live my fantasies for just a few minutes here.
Okay, if somebody's watching, just send us a message. It can be about any random thing, just so we know this is about tonight's show, communicating. Let us know that somebody's watching.
Oh my God. Just so everybody knows, this show may become more of a smorgasbord about what's on Jeremy's mind or what's on our mind.
Yeah, I don't know if you want that, but
breaking from the wedding chat mold just a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm excited about that because my brain doesn't like being confined into a box. Dave, don't put Dave in a box, okay?
Let Dave out of his box. No, I agree. I think that is exciting, and I'm glad that you brought that up. Because you do so much more than weddings.
Mm-hmm.
I do so much more than weddings, and I'm not just talking like in business. There's just so much in a personal life, in your family life, what you're doing with your kids right now. I mean, those are the things that we should be talking about, because that's what we should all be capitalizing on right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge thing, and I'm excited. I know I hate to say that this is kind of a blessing in disguise, but I saw some posts on Facebook that were like, this isn't happening and we're not having this. And the ozone is the ozone layer is like cleaning it, or it's fixing itself. It's like, holy crap. You don't realize how much of an impact we make every single day. And something like this just slows us down and really makes us thankful for everything that we have around us, and relationships, the friendships, Our kids, I mean, holy crap. There's so many times this last weekend. We were at the lake. You've been there, and it's such a place of like just slowing down. And I think that was kind of the reality for me this weekend. Was sorry, we'll get to our actual topic of this show, but this right here. This is what the new show is going to be for us. This is the new show. But anyways, so we're at the lake, and whenever I go, I'm fixing something. I'm working on something. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And I had like the whole afternoon on Sunday, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, this is what it's like. I'm watching the kids. I'm watching the kids playing in the hot tub, and I'm watching them go from the hot tub to the lake, which is like freezing cold. And I'm like, this is the joys in life. And so many times I'm so busy fixing something, or I'm so busy working on something else that I'm not paying attention to what's in front of me. So I really appreciated some of the posts that I've seen, like, this is a time of reflection. This is a time to really soak in what we have. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. But one of the things that I'm sure I'm not alone in this, and by the way, lots of people are commenting in the chats, the various chats, that yes, they are watching. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. All right, it's good to know.
One of the things that I'm sure I'm not alone in this, I have been inundated with even more online video chats than ever before.
Yeah.
This last 5-6 weeks has brought up, because we can't get together in person at coffee shops or whatever. I'm connecting with more people than ever before online, and there are both pros and cons to that. I will readily admit that I'm feeling some Zoom meeting fatigue.
Yeah.
There's just so many to connect with out there that, even DJ live streams, right? I'm being invited to watch just a boatload of them, and I've turned like one or two on. I appreciate what they're doing, and I think that type of stuff is really great for your business, and it'll do just fine without me watching. But anyway, I bring this up because in this era, this very brief new era that we find ourselves in, online communication and the ability to communicate online through this little camera thing right here, has become more important than ever. And I happen to be sitting in on a very, very small Toastmasters meeting. A local group here in the area invited me to join them on their Zoom Toastmasters meeting. They'd never done it before on Zoom before, like ever. So it was really interesting because 2 or 3 of these people who are on have been a part of Toastmasters for years and years and years. And in fact, 2 of them in particular, a husband and wife, they have worked for the United Nations for the last 30 years. And I mean, they have seen the people who speak and so on and so forth, right? Anyway, at the end of the Toastmasters meeting, they commented on how I communicate through Zoom video. And it's made me more conscious and aware of how I communicate through video. And I wanted to have a discussion with you tonight, Jeremy, about how you've seen other people communicate, how you feel you communicate, and hopefully everybody can take away a lot from this, because this couple pointed out things to me that I didn't realize I was doing, but now I'm going to watch for more in other people, and if I can suggest improvements, I will.
Yeah. So I think that's great. And here's a couple things that I want to talk about. I want to talk about, I would say, some of the things you should be aware of that can kind of, what I would consider would be a pet peeve to me. One thing that, so like, let's talk about your surroundings first of all. Okay. So first of all, you probably heard my phone ding like 2 times, right?
Nope, I couldn't hear it at all, actually.
Okay. Well, my phone was dinging because I was getting a text message. So I put my phone on silence. All right. So to me, those are some of the things that I'm just going to talk about my little pet peeves. Okay. Distractions around are pet peeves for me. So like the phone going off, your phone ringing, if you're having this conversation with multiple people, or you're having a conversation one-on-one, how engaged is that individual? Okay. That brings me to the next thing, is when you're having a meeting and you see someone going like this and you hear the keyboard typing, they're not engaged. They are completely disengaged with what's going on. Again, that is probably one of my biggest pet peeves is, when you're in a sales meeting, the last thing you want is for, you're doing a Zoom call sales meeting. The last thing you want is the bride to be sitting there listening to you, looking at you as you're talking, and the groom, sitting over in the background going like this. Because again, if he's supposed to be there, then be there. Don't just physically be there, mentally and consciously be there.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, when she asks, what do you think? You're not like, oh, I'm sorry, what?
Right.
Okay. You're like I said, your background is not, to me, distracting. I like how you have your branding. You've got your logo back there. You actually have what I would call conversations. You're like,
exactly
why do
right.
you have Michael Jackson's bat up there? What's the flag about?
Mm-hmm.
But me, I put a backdrop up because, you guys have seen, I've done this show without my backdrop. I'm going to show you what my backdrop looks like if I don't have that up. I've got all my cables. I don't know if you can see this or not. Can you see it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We have like 2,000 feet of network cable. We have about 4,000 feet of XLR cable. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
You are not going to leave that open now because that's going to drive me up the wall.
So to me, if you're having a very professional meeting with somebody, make sure that your surrounding is professional.
Yeah.
The other thing too is, also just because they can't see below here. Did you see on, I don't know what it was, like Good Morning America or something like that. You probably didn't see it because you're up in Canada. But it was this viral thing going around where this guy was doing a broadcast from his living room, or no, his library or something like that. And he's got like his jacket on, he's got his suit on, his tie. And all of a sudden, it does like a wide angle and you can see that he has gym shorts on with this like suit and tie and everything. So again, and those are the things to be aware of is, and for instance, I even thought about this before you got on, John and I were just kind of talking. I'm like, oh shoot, my curtain's open. So I got up and I'm wearing shorts right now. Okay. Well, this isn't a sales meeting. This isn't like I'm not too worried about it. All the DJs can see my non-sexy legs. But again, the reason I bring that up is, you don't know what they can see and what they can't see. Because you might accidentally have to get up and go shut a curtain, or you might have to do something, make an adjustment on your camera, and then all of a sudden you're showing them that you're in your underwear. That's not a pet peeve of mine, but that's just something to think about. When you're having these conversations.
Agreed. Comments in the chat. Comments in the chat for you, by the way. Someone says, wow, Jared is off on a tangent. Isn't that normally Dave's part?
Buckle up. But no, those, like I said, to me, my biggest pet peeves are just distractions in general. Things that take you away from the focus in the conversation.
Okay, so let me ask you before I bring up some things. How do you, when we're communicating through this medium, a lot of the physical mannerisms that accompany so much of how we communicate are lost. Mm-hmm. Now, I over exaggerate them a little bit when I'm on video so that hopefully less of those physical cues in the conversation are lost. But how do you make up for that? Like, how do you really connect with people when you're communicating with them through this medium? Are there any particular tips?
The biggest thing is just try to keep as much eye contact as possible.
Yeah.
It's no different than a regular conversation. You can always tell when you're in a conversation with somebody and you're not making eye contact, or they're not making eye contact with you. In your mind, you're thinking, what am I not doing right? Or, how are we not connecting? How do I make this person more comfortable? And I think it really does come down to, just make sure that you're having a regular conversation with somebody.
Yeah, very true.
And I think that's why you had the idea of, let's just do kind of a variety of who we are, what we do, and how we do things in our show for the future, because that's just conversation for us. This is natural.
Yeah, it is. So on the note of eye contact, because this Toastmasters meeting this past week had a whole bunch of people who'd never used Zoom before, I mentioned to them some things that I do physically on my computer to help out with eye contact that they just did not realize. Mm-hmm. Now, this will be particularly true for those of you who have a separate monitor maybe, and your video camera's over here though. If that's you, you need to be looking at your camera. You need to get those two things into one spot somehow. But another thing that I do is, unless I'm on a group video call with like 20 or 30 people, I will generally shrink my window so that it's just a row of video thumbnails and slide them right up to the top of my screen where my camera is, so that my eye wanders less to the bottom left corner of the screen if that's where I happen to have that person's thumbnail.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I don't know if viewers have ever noticed this, but like a lot of the times it looks like I'm looking below the camera.
Right.
The reason is I'm actually going to take my camera off here. I'm going to show you. This is a 19-inch computer screen. This is a 55-inch TV that I use as my screen. So like, here's my hand, here's my screen.
Right.
Just to kind of show you that like my screen is huge.
Yep.
So if it looks like I'm not looking at my camera, I'm probably looking at the video.
Right.
My video is huge.
Yeah,
So,
very true.
You know, people are like, well, he's talking about eye contact. He doesn't even make eye contact. I'm literally making eye contact with you right now. You're just like 12 inches below the actual.
Right. So can you squeeze my thumbnail up to the very top of your screen?
Yeah, and that's usually what I do.
Yeah.
Right now, you're about this big, and
Got
you're
it.
right next to my camera, so it actually looks like I'm.
Got it. Jeremy, getting some comments. Can you boost your audio a little bit?
Oh yeah, for sure. I probably have to set we've been doing a bunch of video recordings and a bunch of
Got it. All good.
different things. And so we take the camera and we take the audio mixer to different locations and
Got it.
Let me see what I can do here.
So one of the other things I'll mention on eye contact and physical mannerisms is, and this really comes from me being a DJ. One of the comments made at the Toastmasters meeting was, Dave, you respond and you react to everything that's happening on screen in a really genuine way. And I said, you know what? That comes from me many years ago becoming the DJ I wanted to become. Yeah. I said to everybody, look, it doesn't matter what song I'm playing, whether I like the song or not. Rarely will you see me not having fun with that song. I'm either tapping or moving or something like that. And one of the reasons I've always done that is, if I'm not having fun, why in the hell would I expect the guests to have any fun? Yeah. And so I've brought that to Zoom meetings as well. I mean, I host our a really popular group video call here in Canada every month called the Electro Voice Canada-wide DJ call for Canadian DJs, and we host it once a month, and we get anywhere from 25 to 30 people all the way up to 70 or 80 people live on Zoom. Nice. And as one of the co-hosts of that call, I'm always making sure to be that same guy like I would be DJing, enjoying and having every moment of fun with the person that I'm talking with, because those physical movements, I think, often happen in reaction to something. So if somebody is watching the Zoom meeting and maybe they're just being a little more passive about attending, if they see some movement that I made in reaction to something that was said, maybe that'll trigger them to, oh, what's going on? Like Dave just got all excited or something like that, right? Yeah. So I would really implore people to, this may be super uncomfortable for people who don't do this naturally, but try to over exaggerate your physical movements. Yep. Because if you and I were talking in person like this, Jeremy, I probably would have accidentally slapped you in the face already.
Yeah. No, you would have. Yeah, I agree.
Right. But I'm doing this so that those watching on Facebook, those watching on YouTube really feel like Dave's got some energy. Yeah, Dave's got some energy. Dave's really into this conversation, which of course I am. And all of you who have similar conversations, I know you guys are too, but because there's so little physical transfer of those physicalities, you have to over exaggerate it so that I actually know you're engaged in the conversation.
So let me get this right. You really don't enjoy our conversations. You just pretend to enjoy our conversations. So that way it feels like you're enjoying our conversation.
Ah, you know what? Unfortunately, tonight, we're not going that far behind the curtain.
Yeah. So here's one thing. You talked about communicating effectively, and it's not just like how you present yourself. It's also about how you are listening. And one of the things I always recommend to people is always take notes. But again, to make it look like you're not distracted with what's going on, make sure that you tell the individual that you're taking notes. If you're in a sales meeting, just let them know, I'm going to take some notes. So if you see me looking down, I'm writing some things down. So that way, it's going to show that you care. It's going to show that you're organized.
Yep.
And you're going to be able to come back and say, okay, so your June 27th event, you plan on having 300 people. Is that correct? I mean, you now have topics to talk about, and you can backtrack if you have questions. So you don't come back and say, so how many people were you having again? And because they're like, well, I already told you we're having 300 people.
Right.
So again, it's just being organized. And when you can show the organization, you can show that, again, make sure you tell them. So that way that they're talking and you're not going like this. You're again, tuned out from them.
Yeah.
One of the things that you talk about, the Toastmaster thing, one of the things I don't know, and it's weird that I do this. I know it is, but the reason I do it is because I don't want to sound like I have everything figured out in what I'm saying in my head. Okay. So I will naturally put in uhs and ums to kind of break up what I'm saying and to break up thought processes so it doesn't sound like I'm scripted. It's one of those things. I don't know when it started, but I've noticed it. I could go through an entire presentation in front of, at DJ Expo and, some of these other places that I speak. I could go through an entire presentation and not say the word one time, but then it sounds like he's just reading off a script. He's just, it's not natural. So I naturally put in certain words to kind of break it up so it sounds more conversational and it doesn't seem so scripted. Does that make sense?
It does. And I do a similar thing, but simply with pauses. And I get that directly from my father. My father, I consider to be a bit of an intellect. And when he's thinking about something and responding to you, you can see his brain working while he's formulating the words. And when he wants to say, when he's looking for that word, I mean, those pauses draw you right in.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do this to draw you in. This is just his mind at work, but it happens to be very engaging.
Yeah.
So I do a similar thing just in that sense. Yeah.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I do the same thing as an MC too. Like there's times where I don't want to say I say the same thing every time, but there's some things that I kind of use as a hook. I kind of use, this type of play on words to kind of fill in certain aspects or transitions. And again, I'll throw in words that really shouldn't be there just to make it seem more natural.
Listen to him giving excuses, everybody, for his use of.
But it's weird that, I started noticing that when someone pointed out, they're like, did you know that you dropped this word in, here and there? And I'm like, I do kind of know that. I in the back of my head, I know that I'm putting those things in there because I don't want it to sound completely scripted, which is stupid. Right. It's so stupid.
Just checking the comments here. Here's me doing an listen to that. One of the other things that was commented on, well, two things. So you just meant somebody in the chat mentioned here. I want to get to that, and then I'm going to segue back to something you said, Jer. Somebody said, where is the? Yeah, there we go. This comes from Gus. I never realized how much I can't sit still. And Gus, I will tell you right now. Let's see. I've got this. I've got this. There are a few things on my desk right in front of me here that I fidget with during almost every Zoom call.
I was literally just doing this as you're talking about that. I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's funny. So I mean, much like Jared, I think I always do it off camera, but my fingers are always busy. Whether it's, it's not here. Oh, it's not here anymore. So it's not here anymore. But I kid you not. I have a USB drive. One of the videos I bought from Joe Bunn back in the day came on a USB drive. That USB drive has been off camera, but been fiddled with for hours and hours and hours on these shows.
You've been fiddling with Joe Bunn?
Right now, it's just this little adapter thing and this other little thing that does not fit on it properly, but it's just the way it fits together. So, Gus, I don't know if that helps at all or not, but look, I don't always need to be speaking with my hands a la français, okay? I'm keeping my hands busy tinkering with, I have a paper clip here that has been bent into a gazillion pieces on Zoom calls, but nobody knows it.
That's funny.
One of the other things though I want to mention is, to go along with the listening that you mentioned, Jeremy, is one of the other comments that was made to me the other night was, Dave, I always know you're listening to me because I see you nodding. Thank you, Jeremy. That was brilliant.
Yeah, I did not do that because you said that. I do not. I promise. I did not. That was not like a planned cue call or anything.
Yeah. And again, I know directly where that comes from. It comes from my father. My father nods when he's listening to people, when he's heard something that's of interest, or to communicate that he's engaged. And I think, again, that's, I think, more important again, because when we're physically in a space, maybe you would see me shift in my chair a little bit or lean in a little bit. But that's doesn't naturally happen when we're sitting in an office chair in front of a computer. So I make up for that by nodding or raising my eyebrows, because I want the person to feel valued that I'm speaking with. And that goes for everybody watching as well. I want all of you to know that I'm here in this conversation with Jer. Occasionally, yes, I'm dodging to this computer to check the side chat, but.
So you actually do, like, you're sitting right now, is that correct?
I am sitting, yeah. I have the option to stand at this desk as well, but I'm sitting right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's another thing too, is, when you stand, you're more natural in a conversation. You're basically having go up to someone, shake their hand, and have a conversation with them.
That's right.
And that's where your body is more natural, and it's sometimes more inviting to some people. If you have ever done a Skype call or a Zoom call, I don't even know if people Skype anymore after all this.
Right.
If you've ever done a Zoom call with Jim Cerrone, he's always standing.
Right.
But Jim Cerrone is always standing no matter when or where you see him. He probably
sleeps
standing up.
That is true.
So again, it's just one of those things that gets your blood flowing, it gets movement, and it allows you to naturally be in front of the camera as if you're having a conversation with somebody after you just shook their hand.
Yeah, very true. And if you struggle with having the same energy in a Zoom call that you might have in an in-person conversation, standing.
Yep.
Just stand. Like I have a Veridesk, which is one that I can pop up and down at will, which is what I obviously just did. I just stood it up. But I mean, look, I think Jim literally he's got something built, so his computer just sits at the right height for him. It's not adjustable. He just lives at that. Now, I will, just a word of caution. I do not play a doctor on the internet, nor do I pretend to be one, but don't go to just suddenly doing that all the time, because your body's not used to that.
Yeah.
And standing in one place is really, really hard without moving. So, I mean, when I do this, even an hour long meeting this way can actually get uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
If I'm just standing, like, I have to make sure I'm moving around a little bit, or literally like I'm on, or just sit down for a while.
Yep.
So, yeah, make those Zoom meetings count, everybody. Make those video meetings count, because it looks like we're doing this for a little while longer.
Yeah. Yep.
Any news on lifting things in your area, by the way? Just side note.
Yeah. So we have not been shut down. South Dakota has not been at a stay at home, which is kind of crazy because we're getting ridiculed, left and right. But we're actually, and I know that we're supposed to peak in June is what they're saying. But we actually have more recoveries than we do cases right now. And our cases, we were at, I think our max that we saw, we were at 918 cases. And right now we've been in the 800s. So we're already starting to slope down, which is very positive. We were, Sioux Falls was the number one hotspot for a while on COVID cases at our meatpacking plant, which makes complete sense. I completely understand how and why that happened.
Yeah.
But, here's the thing. It's not, to me, it's common sense. The government shouldn't have to mandate when we should use common sense. Am I correct?
But if common sense is common, Jeremy.
We live in a society that we feel like we have the right to do whatever we want. And you're completely right. But you also have to make the decisions that are the best interest for everybody and not just yourself. Sorry, this is not a political stand or anything like that.
We're gonna go there. We're gonna go there. Let's go.
No, the reason I say this is because, you know, we have not been shut down in South Dakota. Like, we haven't shut down restaurants, we haven't shut down grocery stores or any of that kind of stuff. But yet we're still maintaining good social distancing. We're practicing good social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the thing is, if you can self-control, if you can control yourself, you can control the situation. You know, feel free to not go out and go to restaurants. And I mean, you shouldn't have to stand on your Capitol stairs. And again, not a tangent. You know, everybody deserves their rights, but you shouldn't have to protest to just because you can. That's, I don't know. That's
right. I won't go too down. I promise you, John, I will not go down this rabbit hole, but I will say, probably controversially, the rights of me does not trump the rights of us.
Yeah.
And I think that's where too many people misunderstand the dream, per se.
Yeah.
Or maybe not at all. Well, see, here I go. Anyway, the future is that the rights of us trumps the rights of me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like I said, it's looking good. The way, I don't know if you know how the US is doing it, but the governors in each state have the opportunity to open up things when they feel it's right.
Right.
You know, some of them are opening up the floodgates, some of them are kind of weaning into it. And it's going to be interesting to see, again, not talking Democrats, Republicans, but it'll be interesting to see how things open up, how things progress. Like I said, I'm not one of those like tree hugger type people where it's like, oh my gosh, yes, the ozone. Yes, I want this future for my kids. I want them to have a good earth. You know, I want all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I also feel it is so amazing knowing that the ozone is healing itself, that California can see the stars now. I mean, it's crazy because, like, you know, they're saying they have some of the cleanest air that they've had in such a long time. When you think about all the cars that are currently not on the highway in California, in Las Vegas, I mean, you see those pictures of Las Vegas with no cars in it. It's scary. And it's also, like I said, it's kind of a way of, like, you know, healing itself, the earth. And again, I'm not a Greenpeace person, but I think that part is cool. I don't like to see the struggle of our economy, though. I hate seeing that, you know, this is closed and that's not happening and this isn't happening. But again, like you said, we have to think about everybody. We can't just think about ourselves.
Yeah, the planet's gotten to be way too small of a place. I mean, 100 years ago, yep, the rights of me surpassed the rights of us because I wasn't connected with people 10,000 miles away from where I lived.
Yeah.
But if you want to go live like they did 100 years ago, all the power to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very different world today. And I think all of us, you know, for the most part, love the world we've got today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, here in Canada, all the provinces are coordinating their efforts with each other for reopening. I mean, the provinces of Ontario and Quebec are going to have the most difficulty because their caseloads just continue to be nowhere near where
they're just in a tighter spaces, right?
Well, they're both really big, larger provinces in Manitoba and Alberta and Saskatchewan, a lot bigger, but just many magnitudes more population.
Yeah.
And in some cases, a lot more concentrated because of the bigger cities out there. Yes.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's, you know, I hope people, if you haven't begun adapting to communicating digitally, hopefully a couple of things that were mentioned here tonight help out with that. You know, connect with that camera, you know, over exaggerate some of your physical movements so that they're communicated, because you don't want to be that dry person that just isn't a lot of fun to be with on a Zoom call. And sadly, I think this type of communication can magnify those who maybe aren't quite as excitable. and I mean that in a bad way. So I think those individuals need to work a little harder to be that really engaging person on screen.
Right.
I mean, it's easier for people like you and I fully admit that.
Yeah. You know, one thing I would also recommend, if you're not used to being on a Zoom call, or if you're just kind of like, okay, maybe I really should start thinking about doing this. Yeah. I would recommend connecting with a friend who's going to be completely honest with you and say, you know, I'm going to have a sales meeting with you and I want you to critique me. Again, what is your background? What's your audio like? What's your video like? What's your lighting like? I mean, truthfully, I'm using, I don't know if you saw it when I pulled the camera around, I'm just using a desk lamp that I just needed because I needed to add some extra lighting. Otherwise I look like this.
Oh, right.
Okay. So
I need better lighting too. Bill Herman tells me that all the time, but
well, Bill Herman's a jerk. But like I said, it's a small desk lamp, but it at least gives me, I mean, it's not perfect. You can see I've got shadowing here.
Right.
And I have too much light here. That's because my light is a little off into the distance.
Right.
Or off to the side. But again, not having that light at all would make this a lot more difficult and a lot more unprofessional. So just having some type of lighting so you're illuminated, you look good. I'm not saying I look good, but that the lighting looks good. Those things are really important. Also, one thing that, like, again, because this is a 55-inch TV, if I open up a white background, you can see how much. Can you see all the white it creates?
Yeah.
So if I delete or if I minimize that, now I have warm light back. So again, those are some things to think about, is what does your lighting look like when you're having conversations? And that's where connecting with somebody and saying, hey, let's do a Zoom call. You do your sales meeting, I'll do my sales meeting, and let's critique each other. The other thing to think about is Zoom allows you to do recordings. You can either do them on your computer or you can do Zoom recordings onto the cloud. And if you're in an important meeting and you need to go back to check to see what you were talking about in that meeting, or just recap, record those meetings and use them as archives and go back. Right. You have a comment that you wanted to? You just reading them?
Yeah. Brian Knight Entertainment. I will say, for Zoom calls or any interaction, speak slower than you think. I know I can speak very fast, especially when I get excited. So I make sure to speak a bit slower. That's not something I considered.
Yeah. Is
that different on a video call? Because I do talk too fast sometimes. See, listen to this right here. Too fast.
Yeah. I think you and I understand each other very well because we know how we communicate. Like, I know your voice, I know how your tones are, those type of things. But if you think about it, that's a great point that he brings up. If you're talking with somebody who has an accent that might be a little thick that you're not used to, it might make it more difficult to have that conversation or to understand what they're saying. So I think that's a fantastic point.
That is true. And Jarrett, you just inspired me to think of something. So I have in the past opened up a huge white screen to give my face extra light, as you can just see. I just did, right?
Yep.
But I just got an idea.
Oh gosh.
It's a little too white, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, because see, now you look blue. There you go. Now you look tan.
So let's see. Let's bring that. So what's that color look like?
It looks natural.
So let me take it away quick.
Yeah. See, you're a lot darker now.
There we go. So in case anybody's just wondering, all I did was I opened up an empty word processor window, and I dropped a colored square onto it, and then adjusted the size of that square to fill the entire window, and then just slowly adjusted the color of that square to a point where it would make my face light up a bit better.
There you go.
Look at that.
Reinventing.
Who needs a desk lamp? Herman, I gotta figure it out, you jerk.
Yeah, eat that. But it really is interesting, just how much your screen makes a difference when, lighting up your face, and especially if you're close to your camera or close to your computer screen, how much of a difference that makes.
Try one more thing here. Boom. And back to Zoom. There we go. Tad more light. I've added another white window behind that. Yeah, anyway, whatever.
Dave is going to be up all night until he perfects his
yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, you were suggesting, have Zoom with a friend and kind of work that out. I would also suggest there's a great Toastmasters group for DJs online. I had the pleasure of Vicky Musni, who's a mutual friend. She invited me to sit in as one of the judges for their table topics contest they held just last night, actually.
Nice.
And that was a lot of fun to witness, a wide range of speaking types and speakers. But what a great environment to practice your ability to communicate online through video like this.
Yeah.
If anybody's not heard of them, just go into Facebook and search DJ and MC Toastmasters, and you'll find the group and you'll find the page. You'll know it's the right one because their header image says something about really super cool logo coming here soon. And I think it's been that picture for like 2 years.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so join that group. Become a part of that Toastmasters club if you want regular weekly experience doing this in an environment that's not going to cost you a sale.
Yeah.
Because you will get incredible feedback from these people. And they've been, and the core group of them, Vicky and Bob Powell and a whole bunch of really incredible people, they've been at this 2 years now. So
is Mitch on there?
Oh, Mitch is on there as well. That's right. Yeah, Mitch is on there. Lots of friends are on there. I'm forgetting a lot of people's names right now, so I don't want to forget more, but yeah.
Cool. Some of the other things, the other powerful things about Zoom is I actually use it to record my screen a lot. So if I'm doing a tutorial on how to do Show Express, or when we're doing recording videos on how to use virtual DJ, those type of things, I will literally, put on my microphone, I'll hide my picture up in the top right corner, and then I will walk people through what I'm doing in those programs, and I'll use that to record my screen.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, it's so easy.
Look at that.
I was going to say, the last thing I would always recommend if you're using Zoom or you're having a conference call with somebody is be prepared. You don't want to share your screen and then show like your desktop icons and show all this stuff. And then you got to open up, you've got 25,000 tabs in Chrome or Firefox. And then you got to figure out which one it is. You're like, oh crap, there's the family vacation.
Right.
So you got to find the right things, be prepared, have those things ready. So when you're ready to talk about or share your screen, you're set.
That's right. Yeah, good point. By the way, somebody's commented, Greg Ostrowski is freaking brilliant. Bill would be proud. Tell you what, I'll pop my camera around here quickly and just show everybody kind of what my screen looks like if you're wondering, like, what's Dave talking about? So that is literally what I've done. So you can see the yellow square. So you can see the yellow square, right here. This is all just a yellow square that I've dropped into the word processor, and Jeremy helped me find the right tone of yellow.
Yeah, it looks good.
Easy peasy. Check it out. Look at that. I'll just save this document as my artificial light document.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Very good. Well, this has been a pile of fun. I hope people got a couple of nuggets away from this. I mean, I just you helped me discover something as well, Jeremy.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
That was cool. So like we talked about, Dave and I are going to be kind of very random, and then I don't want to know yet. We're going to be very random in our next couple shows here. And again, we just want to be natural. We want to have conversation. We encourage you guys to come up with conversation for us and with us.
Yeah.
Things that you might be thinking about, or it can be, work, life, business, whatever it is. Share those things with us because we want to hear from you guys. We want topics to kind of build off of each other. Otherwise, it's just going to be natural conversation that it's going to be fun. We are going to do, like the drunk history. We're going to start doing that. Drunk DJs at Wednesday nights.
Oh boy.
Was that John?
Yes, it was. Could you hear the cringe?
Jeremy, John, one episode we have to dedicate to discussing. Jeremy, have you seen The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
I'm like halfway through season 1.
What are you thinking so far?
I haven't watched in a while. That was probably like a month, 2 months ago.
Oh, that's a bad sign. Okay, never mind that, everybody. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Yeah. No, I did watch. This will be a great conversation. What are we binging right now? I did get through episode 3 of Ozark, which, wow, that is something else.
So I don't watch TV typically.
I don't either, but I need something like to.
Right.
We'll talk about this in the next couple shows.
Yeah. I mean, my wife and I. Anyway, yeah, we'll talk about this. Thanks
for watching,
everybody.
guys. We'll see you next time.
Promise I'll have a haircut next week too. Bye.
I'm Jay.